Hey folks, Craig Danger, vinyl record player. Back again, and of course it's time for another vinyl tech. This one's soul and funk focused. So, hey, if you're into soul and funk, right off the hop, subscribe to me. Subscribe to Craig Danger, the vinyl record player, immediately, because if you're into soul and funk, please, it's here. It's often here. Ask others in the comments. But anyway, like I say, I'm going to do this 10-question funk and soul vinyl tag brought to you by Spin the Black Circle. I will indeed also link to him in the comments. But get ready for some prime funk and prime soul. Grab yourself a tasty beverage. Sit yourself down in a comfortable chair. But of course, as we always do, it's important to remind you to buckle up. Okay, and we're back doing the soul and funk vinyl tag. Woo, woo, love it. Odd selection of questions, but hey, you know, whatever. I'm not here to critique the questions. Brought to you by Spin the Black Circle, who I've also subscribed to as of recent. Did not know. Unfortunately, yeah. I'm in the vinyl community, but Google does a terrible job recommending vinyl channels to me. So in the comments, if you can recommend any good soul and funk channels, or just really any channels that are entertaining, please do. But let's get started. Your new released funk or soul record of 2025. I do not have that on vinyl. If you know the channel, you know that I'm a bit of a cheapie, a bit of a tightwad, a little bit tight-fisted is this Craig Danger. So as a result, I don't often buy new albums. But I have listened to Loaded Honey and their album Love Made Trees this year, and I've kind of listened to it nonstop. It's like a fantastic sort of, a lot of samples involved, very kind of old school soul sounding. Apparently, I didn't know this until just looking into this artist, but apparently 2 members of the band Jungle are what form Loaded Honey, which tells me it's kind of a smaller project. Maybe they're not going to do a lot else, which is unfortunate, because wow, fantastic record. I think probably my song of the year, one of my songs of the year most listened to by Loaded Honey. I believe it's called Tokyo Rain. Wow, what an amazing song. Summer song of the year should have been, if you were listening to Craig Danger. So that would be my best soul or funk record of the year. Very sort of modern soul, modern take on retro soul, if that makes any sense to you. And you know what I would ask? I would ask you, the viewer, what's your best used funk or soul album that you found in the past year? Just lay it in the comments. I'm always interested anyway. It could be anything. You might have even seen it on this channel. Heck, I would say bonus points if you saw a record on this channel and you were like, I gotta buy that, and then you did. But put it in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Helps the channel a lot. And yeah, let's get back to these funk is soul and funk questions. Number 2, your best used find funk or soul album in 2025. That's a tough one to do. If you see my other vinyl tag, I have problems with best, picking favorites. Pick a favorite record from your collection of 1,000 of them. That type of stuff doesn't often work that well. But I figured I'd just pick out something that I did pick up, and this one actually I had been looking for quite some time. How about Lamont Dozier, Out Here on My Own from about 73, 74. There's Lamont on the back. Anyway, cover art aside, this is one of his first after, of course, breaking off from the Lamont Dozier, the Holland Dozier Holland sort of production crew, as well as they had a label together. He kind of breaks away. And of course, releases this, among other ones. I think this was his second album, but you know what? This is a fantastic album all the way through. Breaking Out All Over starts it up, just a rocking right away. And of course, the big hit on this one, which wasn't big. All right, it's fine. It was Fish Ain't Bitin' is really good. Trying to Hold On to My Woman. Out Here on My Own is another banger. This album is great cover to cover. And like I say, I had heard this on streaming for quite a while. It's my favorite album by Lamont. and so happened that I actually picked up a copy. Is it in the best condition? No, there's like this ringware business, and it's a little. I've seen better looking copies, but it's got a little punch here too. Which, God, come on, man, with the punch. But great record. And is it the best? Probably not. But like I say, had been looking for this for a long time. Managed to pick it up. Number 3 on the list. Show a funk or soul 7-inch you love that wasn't a top 30 chart hit in your home country. Now, I'm going to go with my home country. I'm a dual citizen, and I like to tout my Canadianness whenever I can. So I'm going to go with the fact that I'm almost 100% sure that Leaving Me by the Independents was in fact not a hit in Canada. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I think it reached 21 on the Billboard and easily top 10 in the United States. Of course, on the Wand label, a lot of really good stuff on the Wand label. If you see any Wand label stuff, again, there's some really cool stuff. That's a label that kind of, unfortunately, was off my radar, but recently I picked some stuff up, including The Independents. Oh, one of my favorites. Leaving Me is what it is. But you know what? It's just fantastic arrangement on this. I think it's one of the best songs ever. It's like Leaving Me, anyway, get it or listen to it. I consider it a absolute super classic. I think it also Chuck Jackson's delivery throughout this song is just fantastic. Chuck Jackson, obviously the writer of this particular, really this trio of songs, and they only had 2 albums, like 72 and 73. So this is probably from 73, this single. But you know what? Oh, fantastic stuff. I actually bought this to be on the Vinyl Community Pub, as a matter of fact. And, that just means that basically I don't listen to a lot of 7-inches because it's a lot of getting up, pulling off the needle, flipping the you understand. It's a lot for a single song. But if I had to do it, I would do it for Leaving Here. I guess it's kind of if I wanted a United States jam that was not a hit, I would go with Gwen McCrae, Love Insurance, which Love Insurance is basically just kind of like an almost out-and-out copy of Rockin' Chair. But it's about, getting a love insurance because, these loves be breaking apart all the time. You get a little insurance on that, it's good. And we're, of course, backed with he keeps something groovy going on. It's Gwen McCrae, man. Nothing wrong with Gwen McCrae. Everything right with Gwen McCrae. Let's move on. Let's go to a 70s album produced by a 60s soul songwriter or star. An example might be Norman Whitfield, produced some great 70s LPs. Of course he did. It's Norman Whitfield. It's the Whitfield Experience. Anyway, let's get to it then. Of course, I'm going to be talking about 60s should have been legend, 60s should have been star, really was more of a writer, and of course did release the best soul LP of 1969 and possibly of the entire 1960s. I could only be referring to William Hutchinson or Willie Hutch. He produced this. There's his ass, well, not his ass, but there's his face right on the back. Willie Hutch goes ahead in 73 and produces Smokey by Smokey Robinson, the first LP by the man himself, formerly of the Miracles. And I don't know what was going on there because this was at a time when basically everyone was like, oh man, Willie Hutch should produce you. Unfortunately, he didn't get as much production work as he should have because dude would have been a lot better off. But at the same time, Smokey splits from who? From the Miracles. And Willie Hutch also goes ahead and produces a number of tracks on their debut, which is called Renaissance, right here. Also from 73, I believe. Also on the gatefold. Got ourselves a little bit of a lyric sheet here. Also on the Motown label. And there's the gentleman within there on that sweet gatefold. I'm going to say probably, I'm not a huge Smokey guy. This is a good album. I think personally that, this is probably the superior of the two, but they're both very good albums. Both produced by, again, Willie Hutch. absolute legend. And if you're a watcher and you're not yet a subscriber of this channel, and you're like, Willie Hutch, I'm curious, hit subscribe, friends, because whoa, we talk a little bit about Willie on this channel. I'm not going to say all the time, but you could say almost all the time. Okay, let's go to the next question. Show, in your opinion, the best ever solo album by a band from your home country. Band, not solo, please. That's actually a pretty tough one. Again, if I was to use the United States as my home country, I don't even know where I would start. This is kind of where soul music was created, right? It would be idiotic for me to be like, here's my favorite. But from Canada, ooh, too tough. At the same time, very tough because it's a super white country, people. I'm not sure if you've been there. It's changing. The multiculturalism is in the mix, but not a lot of soul coming out of Canada almost ever. Nowadays, it would be a lot more. And, you know, I'm more into the 60s and 70s part of the soul arena, so there's not much. So I thought, what the heck, we'll go with, his name was Harrison Kennedy, and he was from Hamilton, Ontario, and he was a member of Chairman of the Board for a wide variety of albums. This is an album that I have by them, and it's a good album. Is it the best ever? No. Is it the best Canadian soul album ever? I don't know what that is. I really don't. Wish I could help. But this one's close enough for 60s. This is early 70s. This is probably from 70. On the Invictus label. Again, the Holland Dozier Holland offshoot. The label that they created after leaving Motown. But you know what? Unfortunately, yeah. Canadian soul music, not going to find it from the 60s, maybe even the 70s. Again, maybe you could. I'm just not that into it, so I'm going with that. Show an album by a female soul trio or quartet. Let's talk about also, this is a very Holland Dozier Holland, Invictus, and hot wax oriented video, I would say. Honeycomb, Sweet Replies. Obviously most famous for Want Ads, absolute banger. But you know what? I think this is their best album. And, you know, obviously they looking foxy on the front and on the back. Equally foxy, albeit hidden behind some trees. Anyway, anything from Honeycomb is great. They had a super short career. We're talking about like maybe 2 or 3 years. They released Want Ads, and then basically Hot Wax, Invictus, went up in flames. It just basically died as a label, and unfortunately they kind of stopped. That was it for them. Edna Wright, I believe, is the girl with the beautiful ponytails here. But I mean, ooh, that is a fancy and fantastic looking lady group. Honeycomb, again, they have 3 albums and they have like a compilation. Get them all. They're all fantastic. And currently, what have I got? I'm still just missing one of their albums. But anyway, good one. Sweet Replies from, I'm going to say 72, 71. Okay, let's go. Let's get best soul or funk band that I've seen live, and not necessarily this year. You know what? Probably like the best like band kind of funk soul band. This was a couple years ago, but I saw the Isley Brothers. Oh, come on, get out of here. Obviously, not as many of the members. There was like 2 Isley Brothers left. I mean, let's be real. 2 that are touring, but the band is fantastic. And then also, you know who was opening for them up in Upland, California, up at the Los Angeles County Fairgrounds? Of course, not only the Isley Brothers, but who supports them? How about Lakeside? Lakeside were fantastic too. Fantastic Voyage is kind of the most, I guess, famous track, but the fact is that, you know, they had 5 or 6 albums, and a very funky band, kind of dressing in pirate costumes and then other costumes. Fantastic and phenomenal costume work, but also, again, very funky band. So I guess that's what I'll go with on that one. You are friends with a total rock supremacist non-believer. I'm friends with a few of those people. What single or album do you play to convert him to soul funk? I would say this one, I've been really big upping this one because it's so classic. But I would point them in the direction of Hey Joe. Of course, you know, more famously, way more famously recovered by, of course, Jimi Hendrix. I would say, man, check out Lee Moses' version. Then listen to the rest of the album, including, of course, the absolutely banging version. Is it a definitive cover version? I would almost say so, of California Dreamin', the Mamas and the Papas classic. This album is great. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the Hey Joe is very familiar because, of course, it's of that classic rock variety. But again, done by a soul guy, and it's not entirely that incredibly different, but it's great. So yeah, Hey Joe by the man who unfortunately was never really that famous, Lee Moses. Time and place. 80s and 90s were a great era for 12-inch EPs, and soul and funk was no exception, it says here. Show a 12-inch soul or funk record from that era. Well, you know what? On this one, friends, I'm afraid I'm cheating because I don't actually have any 80s or 90s 12 inches. But you know what? I got this beauty from 1978. What is the song on this one? How about Bustin' Loose? Couple of versions of Bustin' Loose. It brings it well beyond the 10-minute zone. And what's Bustin' Loose from? Just actually picked this up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, from the Bustin' Loose LP, of course. This is, of course, from 79. I think the single's from 78. Huge sort of go-go music. These guys were from Washington, D.C. Go-go music was the big thing in sort of the late 70s, early 80s. And, of course, Chuck Brown and his Soul Searchers. Ooh, really good stuff. This album also freaking fantastic. If you do see Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers with Bustin' Loose, so that would obviously make my 12-inch the title track of this, which again is a really good album, and Chuck's fun and it's a funky album. Probably would have been a great band to see live. So Chuck Brown and my 12-inch is from 78, close enough to the 80s. Bustin' Loose. Probably not an easy one to find. Got to be real. Got to be real. And I guess what do we got? We got 12 questions here. So let's go on to the next one. Show a funk or soul album that contains a track which is in excess of 8 minutes. You know what? I was trying to make it a little hard. I was like, I listened to War of the Gods by Billy Paul. I'm like, that's okay track. But then I'm like, just go to the basics, dude. Go down to that 12-minute version of Walk On By, an absolute symphonic masterpiece. Just absolute jam. Like, you want to say jam, but you're more like jam because it's that much of a jam. 12 minutes of madness on this one. Incredible, heavy drum work. Drummer not liking his kit. Just beating it. And you know what? The strings on this and everything on Walk On By, absolutely mind-blowingly good. This album is only 4 tracks and does actually contain 3 tracks that are over 8 minutes. So that's a double walloping of this question. But again, Walk On By. If you haven't heard that version yet and you claim to love music, you're wrong. You don't yet. Go ahead, pause this video, go find Walk On By on the 12-minute version on YouTube. Listen to it, come back. Okay, now you know music. All right, that's just the way these things go. You're gonna have to hear the song first, and then you can be like, okay, I'm a music lover now. So anyway, Hot Buttered Soul from '69, Isaac Hayes, a legendary LP. 4 songs, 3 of them are over 8 minutes, but Walk On By, woo, can't beat that one. All right, I'm single and I have a promising date arranged. Ooh, hello. The wording it's amusing me. Choose one soul album to get you in the mood for romance. Marvin Gaye accepted. No, that's fine. That's fine. I do have I Want You. I do have Let's Get It On. Whatever. But we won't be doing that. Instead, we'll be looking again. If we're talking about soul and funk, I told you about Willie Hutch. But this is, of course, Season for Love. This is when, basically, after the abject failure of his initial album, one of the best, in fact, the best, in Craig Danger's opinion, produced soul album of the 1960s, huge failure. It was RCA's fault. It's obvious. I mean, these guys were idiots. He was like, well, we didn't get any promotion from RCA because, did I mention that RCA sucked? He was like, well, producer John Flores, who I've actually interviewed, and he's just fantastic. He has his own channel. He basically was like, John Flores, hey, maybe we can produce an album that is more pop-like and have the pop producers promote it, and it'll do well, and it'll all be about love, and it'll be sort of an AM radio type of hit. and he went ahead and he did it, and it's very like sort of early, sort of mid-period Sam Cooke sounding, really fantastic stuff. And then RCA came out and said, "Oh yeah, we'd love to promote this pop. Oh, who is it by? Oh, is he black? Oh, is this Willie Hutch? He's black. So okay, we won't be promoting that at all. And it also will basically crash and burn, and no one will buy any copies of it." So again, thank you RCA for absolutely almost wrecking Willie Hutch's career. Fortunately, he signed on with Motown, where they also would promote him really terribly. But, you know, again, in the 2020s, you know who came along? Craig Danger. And all Craig Danger talks about is goddamn Willie Hutch. I know, it's a problem. It's a sickness, friends. But there ain't no cure for loving Willie Hutch, including the Season of Love, Season for Love, which is, really great album. His last on RCA. Thank God, because they just would have kept screwing him. Terrible stuff for, again, such a legendary singer. And we're gonna push comes to shove and do one of my favorite things, and that is talk about, out of my 600 or more soul records, let's talk about a favorite of mine. Yeah, again, I'm just throwing this out here because favorites, if you're a person who has like 4 soul records and you have a favorite, hey, cool, whip it out. Let's go to town on it. But if you have like 600, do you really have one that you're like, this one is better than the other 599? I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that guy. But I'm willing to greatest funk or soul album ever made. I can't even answer that question, but I'll throw this just because I like to rep this record, which is one of the best. One of the best. Is it the best? No, of course not. But this is George McRae's, certainly his best LP. And, absolute classics. Obviously, the title track was huge worldwide, even in Germany, France, the Netherlands, everywhere, England. It was huge. And then, of course, the rest of this is good. Look at You was another huge hit. I Get Lifted was, I don't think that was released as a single, but it was fantastic. You Got My Heart, You Can Have It All was later covered by Yola Tango in the 1990s. Fantastic version, but this is the best. And of course, again, look at this Canadian tuxedo. George, just absolutely, as an American citizen, blowing away other Canadians who dareth to wear such a beautiful Canadian tuxedo. Looking good. So George McRae, I guess the final kind of note about this is that all these songs were written by the same songwriters and really band members of Casey and the Sunshine Band. All of the songs. Like, George was not basically involved at all. Really good stuff. This is pre-Casey and the Sunshine Band. But wow, everything suits his voice really well. And like I say, this is the best album George McRae ever released. And it's not just Rock Your Baby. It's banging. I would say, if I was to go with the second one, I'd say I Get Lifted. I Get Lifted is just like, a funky jam. And in fact, I almost get lifted myself. It's a prophecy, is I Get Lifted by George McRae. And that it indeed will lift you as well. So there we go. I guess that's the 2026 Soul and Funk tag. Obviously a little bit shorter, thank God, than my last vinyl tag, which was like upwards around 40 minutes. I don't know did I say hours or minutes? Doesn't matter. Does it really matter? Anyway, that's all for me for today. But thanks again for Spin the Black Circle, for the interesting array of questions that make up this Soul and Funk vinyl tag of 2026. And thank you for tuning in. If you're still here, like, subscribe. Super helps the video, helps the channel. I guess, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I will see you when? On the next one.